Good evening. Thanks for joining the To Hull and Back podcast, proudly sponsored by Pearson's Bar and 6 Yards Out. I'm your host, Nathaniel, and tonight we're joined by Will and Tom. So how are you guys doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great, mate. How are you?
I'm very happy you asked, and I'm happier now. So just wonderful. Can't wait to talk about football. Will, you're laughing already. How are you doing?
I'm alive, so that's a good thing.
That is certainly good.
It's certainly better if he's drinking a bottle of beer.
Yeah, not a very high bar to aspire to, though, I imagine.
Means
Not
you're
really.
never disappointed.
I suppose, but maybe you were disappointed by some of the results City have had. Unlike the last time we did an episode, I think we just won 2 games against Birmingham and Wigan. But this time, no wins to talk about, but 2 quite exciting games. Yorkshire derbies, as the name of the episode suggests, against Huddersfield and Sheffield United. But before we get on to those, and I'm sure it'll bleed into the rest of the conversation as well, of course, the main thing people say at the start of the season is you can only really judge the table after 10 games. But we're not going to be judging the table. We are going to be looking at the seniors' first 10 games in charge of Hull City. And that's 3 clean sheets, 3 wins, 2 losses, 5 draws. We've scored 12, conceded 8, and we have 14 points, which if that averaged over the course of the season, that would be about 64. And maybe we'd be something like 9th or 11th, something like that. So, Will, I'll start with you. 10 games in, has the senior made a good impact?
I mean, I think you'd be mental to say otherwise. You can see the team's playing completely better, the football's much better, the players seem to be playing for the manager, and my main thing is the results are better.
Absolutely. Would you agree with that, Tom? Yeah, I think what the main thing that he's done when he came in was shore up the defence, and that's for any success. When Pep Guardiola came into Man City, the first thing he did was shore up the defence, and that's what Rossini's done when he's coming here. He stopped us shipping goals, silly goals as well, and that's how you build from the back. And now we've obviously we're adding some additions in January, which we'll probably go on to later. I think hopefully going forwards, we can start sort of be more pertinent in the final third. Absolutely. I mean, I'll be honest and say that I wasn't 100% convinced by the appointment. I was excited, but he's done a little bit better than I thought he might do. I mean, he's done as well as I hoped. But 14 points out of 10. Of course, under Shota, I think we had 11 from the first 10. But then his last 10 games, it would have been a whole lot less. As I said, we've conceded 8. Under Shota, it probably would be about double that. Stopped conceding in free kicks and corners as well. So, I think he's shored up the defence. We haven't really scored a huge amount of goals. 12 from 10's not great, but it's okay. And I think the Wigan result helped that a lot. But I think the most exciting thing is that we're playing much better football. And that's exactly the sort of thing Adrian wanted. He wants us to play attacking football. We were promised that under Shota and it never really happened. But we're controlling the games. And I think Rossini is doing a very good job. And if he can continue this form that he showed in the first 10 with his decisions, then I think we'll be in for a good season. So just anything else to add about Rossini's impact on the club?
I do think some of the results we have got recently, including one we're going to talk about today, probably never would have happened under Shota, which I think is the main thing. We just didn't have a backbone before, it seemed. Yeah. Now we do.
Are you referring to the fact we could have lost 5 or 6 against Sheffield United when we go that
to the fact
one
that
goal
there
down?
was no chance on earth under Shota we would have even got anything from Huddersfield.
Because they bullied us, and really, if you bully the whole team under Shota, you just show up a little bit on the doors as well.
And we're just dead.
Yeah, and almost were, but we did get a point against Huddersfield, a 1-1 draw. I think the main thing to talk about with the Huddersfield result is that, considering where they were in the table, and we just won 2 games in the league, then the FA Cup sort of stopped our momentum. But it's 2 points dropped in the cup, yes. But Tom, 2 points dropped, right?
Yeah, against Huddersfield it was, yeah. But they came into the game having, I think, they was unbeaten in the last 3 away games. I think they picked up 2 wins in a row. So they come into there with confidence, and obviously the first half they sort of dominated a bit, and we had to grind out a result in the end. But I think after our second half performance, from what I saw, because I won out the game, that was the one I missed this season. I think we did deserve a point in the end, but I think in order to sort of climb this division, you need to sort of earn these points when you're not particularly playing that well. And I think, like Will's touched upon, I think under Shotter, there's no chance in hell we're getting that result. We'd have probably lost 2 or 3-0, like we did against Luton early on in the season. But, it's there's promising signs. It's just about getting that the duck off our back a bit at home. So I think away we'll play a bit more freedom, whereas at home a bit more conservative. I think if we take the game to teams more, I think we can. So we need to sort of start on the front foot a bit more. I think a bit conservative at times, but hopefully that'll come with time.
Yeah, well, that's the sort of thing Rosenior said in the press conference, that he wasn't happy that with the first half performance and the way we started against Huddersfield. He said that we gave away a few cheap corners, and that allowed Huddersfield to grow into the game. And I think that's the most frustrating thing about the home form, is that we make it so much more difficult for ourselves when we go a goal down. Mind you, we've seen his first game at home. We scored very early on against Reading, and we did go on to lose that game. But I think that was very early on, and we've improved a lot since then. So I think if we get the first goal in the next game against QPR at home, you'd like.
It was unlucky to lose that game as well against Reading.
Oh, absolutely. And again, I don't know who scored the own goal at the end, but I don't think anyone remembers that.
I can't remember. Some winger.
Nah. But we'll forgive them anyway, whatever happened. 68% possession against Huddersfield, and a lot of that came from the time wasting. And I think, Will, you want to talk about that?
That partly came from the moment they scored. They had their, to be fair to Huddersfield, even though they did concede the last kick of the game, they played that game to perfection, to be quite honest, because they got their goal, they smashed and grabbed it, and then they just sat in such a way that we couldn't pass through them in any way, shape or form, which completely ruined us until we made a couple of subs later on when they started to tire. But isn't it nice when a referee actually gives time for time wasting and then actually plays out said time? It's great, isn't it?
That's what they're supposed to do, because if they waste the time and the referee doesn't like it, it doesn't add it on at the end, what's the point?
The thing that I loved after the game, when you looked on social media, is a lot of Huddersfield fans saying, why did they play 8 minutes when there was 6 added on? And that's on face value, you're like, well, yeah. Until you remember that, I can't remember who it was, who went down for about 4 minutes, maybe.
Well, there was an injury, wasn't there?
Right at the start of injury time.
Yeah, and they seem to forget about that. I mean, even if there had been time wasting, they would add the time on, but it was so obvious that there was that injury who went down.
And you could tell people even in the press box were getting a little bit aggro. And that every time a Huddersfield player went down, they'd stay down for 5 minutes and then bounce straight up and were just running straight away. It's like, they're not even hiding it at this point.
It's the sort of gamemanship you get in the Championship.
If Hull City did that and we won the game, I'd be all over it. I'd be saying it's ace. It's just when it happens against your team, it's the same with anything. If it happens against your team, it's awful. But if your team does it, it's fantastic.
It does seem we're sort of playing that we're a good footballing team. We're passing it around. There doesn't seem to be an awful lot of time wasting or anything like that. Mind you, we've not been in many opportunities to actually waste the time when we've been winning, because we've had so many draws. So, but Tom, what was your main emotion at the end of the game when Oscar scored that lovely finish? Because mine was more relief than joy, because it is another game perhaps we should have won.
I think it's when you score that late on, sometimes initially it can feel more like the 3 points and it's the point, but when you reflect on it afterwards, a couple hours after, when it settles, you think, there's a huge chance there to claim 3 points. But when you come up against a side like Huddersfield near the bottom, it's going to be difficult because they're fighting for their lives. We're near down there as well, but I think Huddersfield, like, with the form, they're coming to the game in, they had a little bit of form, but I think the closest to the bottom, they're struggling. So I think when you're playing a team like that, they are going to make it hard for you. They're going to sit, in a low block. And I think, it's going to frustrate a side like us that likes to play possession. So, so I knew it was going to be a tough game, but I did expect us to get the 3 points, but hopefully it's coming sooner rather than later.
It was one of those games where I feel it was both 2 points dropped and a point gained because of the context of how it went.
Yeah.
Like you say, we had the chances to win it, but the way that Huddersfield played, we could have probably played for, even though we could have played probably for another hour and wouldn't have scored again.
If you'd reversed it and we'd have scored early on and they'd have scored in 96 minutes, it would have felt like
it'd be horrible.
Yeah. So it's like, I think the fact that we did get that 94th minute equaliser.
Was it even 98?
98. Yeah, 98.
It literally was. We scored it, and they literally just did one kick-off and he blew full time.
Yeah, it just shows that we have turned a corner since Rossini's coming to the club. That's the main thing I take from it, because I think when you've got a team that's fighting to the very end for a point, I think it does show that, you know, no matter how much it's going against you in the game, all the time wasting, again, we've come out with a point. So I think even if you're not playing particularly well and you're still taking points from games, what's going to happen when we start playing well? You know, that's it's obviously a work in progress, but I think there's a lot to build on, you know, since Rossini's took over.
Yeah, I mean, of course, we are going to talk about Hull losing next, but we are much more difficult to beat under Rossini. Yeah. As you said, under Shota, that, you know, we probably would lose at least 1-0 or maybe a few more goals. And then, of course, I think we've banged on about home form a lot in recent weeks, so we'll talk about something else. And, of course, on one hand, it's really great that Oscar is scoring a lot of goals. But the other thing is, and I don't necessarily think this myself, but it's a potential talking point. Oscar is scoring a lot of goals. Are we over-reliant on him? I know a lot of people are sort of saying this about Man United and Rashford at the moment as well. So are we over-reliant on Oscar for goals?
No, we're not over-reliant. I think when you've got a focal point up front, I think you're going to play to his strengths, and we're doing more so now under Rossini in recent matches. And I think to say we're over reliant on him, you know, I think it's a bit too far, to be fair. I think, you know, obviously he's going to score goals as a forward, but, you know, maybe sometimes, to be fair, sometimes we do try to cross it too much to him and stuff like that. But I think when you've got a forward like him who's potent in the box, I think the natural thing to do is to feed him, and, you know, that's what we've done.
Yeah. I think there's a bit. I can see both arguments. He's the main striker, so of course he's going to be the man who you'd aim the goal. It's like, Man City are obviously aiming to get the ball to Erling Haaland. Why wouldn't
it's like
they?
Man City are reliant on him, Haaland, aren't they? Do you know what I mean? But yeah,
but at the same better time, team like, without him.
Yeah,
that's what people have been saying. Yeah.
I'm not sure about that one. But I can also say that when you look at it, virtually no one else has scored for City this season, outside of a couple of games.
Yeah, I mean, Tufan is second top goal scorer, and he doesn't even really play. And so, that's 8 less goals. Was 8 field
almost
goals.
All of his goals were early in the season, Tufan's.
Yeah, exactly. So, of course, he did win Goal of the Month, though, for December, I think it was. Or was it November? Must have been December against Sunderland, which was a nice finish. And I think Oscars will probably be winning the one for January, unless we get a few more in the next few games. I don't really think there's much else to mention about Huddersfield. Just it's good that we're picking up these points, even when we put in a poor performance and we are getting these equalisers. It's just you want to score first in one of these home games and see how that changes the game. Yeah,
this is it. About the home form, it is annoying that we don't win, and I know I've seen it firsthand. Liam does get annoyed being asked the question about the home form, but at the same time, we're not losing at home either. This is the thing. Yeah, we're not
3 unbeaten.
It's slowly, we're slowly turning the tide on that, because before you just come here and the moment you score, you've won.
Yeah, exactly. So we're a much tougher team. But then we went to Sheffield United after this, and it was somewhat of a free hit, considering Burnley and Sheffield United are both
romping,
almost definitely romping. Exactly, that's the exact word to describe it. Romping away up to the Premier League. And it's a bit surprising that it's 2 teams that do that. You can usually in the Championship there's a great
killing the automatic race completely.
Well, yeah, exactly. So playoffs is the only real thing left.
Playoffs is closer than ever, though. That's
that's the thing.
Which makes it exciting. So I think we played quite well. It's almost like the FA Cup with Fulham. You just want to have a good performance against what is almost a Premier League team with the form they're in. So perhaps we were a little unlucky to lose. I know Sheffield United had a lot of chances. Burge and Jefferson could have scored some more. But were we unlucky to lose, Tom?
I wouldn't say I was unlucky. I felt the way we started the game, we started quite softly to concede that goal. And then we sort of grew into the game as it went on. But I felt the way we were set up a bit, not like it was in recent weeks. I think we set up a bit more defensive. And I felt that sort of worked against us in a way. But, once we, in the second half, I think when we brought a few players on, looks like a better side. I think we took the game to them. I think we was quite fearless with the way we played. We could have snatched a point another day, but we didn't. But I was quite impressed with the performance, to be honest.
Yeah,
I think it's easy to go to Sheffield United and get turned over, but the fact that we lost by a marginal 1 goal that came in the second minute, I felt it was how strong Sheffield United are defensively. It sort of made it an uphill battle from early on. Against a side like that, you'd like to ride out the first 15 minutes, without conceding, but we, conceded almost straight away. So it's it was a bit of a killer, decline. But
yeah. I thought, as you said, it was going to be a free hit going into the game. Like I said, they're second, they're running away with it. I'd have been happy with what. I'd have been happy as hell to get a point out of it. And we started very poorly, and we could have been a couple of goals down at least. But we grew into the game, and I think we could have snatched a point, and then Benjamin Tete had to be in Egypt and get wound up by the biggest shithouse, Ollie McBurney, who got him sent off. And it was one of those where he was rightly sent off, but it was also both should have been sent off.
Yeah, quite possibly. It looks from the replays.
You look at the replays. I just don't see how the referee can see that Ollie McBurney sort of instigated it. He's instigated it, McBurney, in a way. Then obviously Tete's sort of lunged his head forward, but
being silly and just reacted.
Yeah, but that's what McBurney wanted him to do. Wanted to react, and
exactly.
Unfortunately for us, he bought the reaction. But like you touched on there, when Tete came on, Longman as well. We sort of grew into the game more. I didn't want to say Longman because I know he's going to get too excited, but
he did play well.
He did play well when he came on. Took on
there's
players.
There's a player I'm more excited about, which replaces Longman for me, and I've seen someone mentioned it already about Aaron Connolly. I thought he had a great game. He had a great couple of games in general. I thought he was good against Huddersfield as well. And I'm glad he's having a good time, because before he even kicked a ball for us, everyone was already writing him off because of his off-the-field antics. But you got to give him a chance on the field with us before you just decide he's shit. And he's so far, I know it's only a few games, but so far for me, he's been very good.
Yeah, I think with Connolly, he's growing into it a bit. I think we could see more of him on the ball, but I think with the way he presses off it, he sort of gets into the face of opponents. He's not scared to put himself about. He's about 5'7". He's not particularly big, but he comes up against these centre halves. He's pressing. I think that's the sort of energy we need up there.
He's a bit like Slater, but further forward.
Yeah. One thing I want to mention on Slater is that he's not done that well in recent weeks. I think he
looks tired.
I think he needs a rest. But
he looks tired.
Well, there's a lot of running for the team, and it's still his first proper season. He's had the whole time in the Championship, and he's a very young player. But so maybe a rest. Although, of course, we do have a whole week before the next game, so maybe some of that rest will come into play there. Alex Lancaster said that it was a bullet header from Tete. It's of course referring to.
He would have knocked McGurney out.
Yeah, I predicted that Tete would get his first goal for Hull City, and it would be a bullet header. And then I tweeted afterwards that it was the wrong sort of bullet header. But of course, you don't want to see your players headbutting anyone. But if they're going to headbutt anyone, it would be McBurney, because he doesn't seem like I can't use the word, but it's what you said, Will. He does, a wind-up merchant.
You can't use the word.
You called him in Egypt, didn't you, Will?
My mum was watching.
Egypt.
Yeah. But then, as Nshep, the comment said, Connolly, he's winding up players as well. And, that's a sort of January signing you need, someone who has the energy.
That is something we haven't had for a bit, is we need someone who will get into the referee and the players' get him aggro. We do seem a bit too nice at times, or we have done recently.
Well, we're cultured, like Surrey, and
Do you think when
passing on
Tete
around.
sort of went into there, do you reckon that the players should have backed him up a bit more? Because I think our players have sort of accepted it that he was off, but after what he's done, it's one of them where you can't really back him. But
yeah, sorry, I don't think we can back him really.
But I think the players could have got in there a bit more and sort of like, I don't know, laid one on McBurney, I think. I don't know.
And got another man.
Getting Landman off.
Yeah, just beat him up. Yeah, I don't think that would
go over there and come through kicking.
No, I mean that'd be
forfeit a match, get 5 points sent off.
Iconic imagery for me to see, but it was a shame to see him get a red card because he's just come back from injury. And we've mentioned Connolly had a good game, and Longman did as well. He came off the bench. He's playing on the wing, got a few crosses in, and unfortunately, he seems that he's picked up a back injury, so he perhaps won't be starting against QPR, which is very annoying for me because he should have started because I think he played better than Christie was doing right wing, and you can move Christie back, maybe Coyle off. But
that's one thing I wanted to touch on. That's one thing I wanted to touch on. You just reminded me of Christie. That's what I think sort of unsettled us in the game. Playing Christie right wing, it looks so unbalanced. Having Christie there with Coyle as well. I just prefer playing a flat back four like we've been doing 4-2-3-1. But I think we approached the Sheffield United game in a way where we're trying to protect our fullbacks a bit more by playing, Christie and Coyle on one side because they know that the dangers that Elliot, in NDI and Jebison, they know like in behind that they're quite dangerous. So perhaps it was a bit more conservative doing that. But one thing I also want to touch on as well is Ben Tete. Since he's come back from injury, he's been sort of playing in behind the striker. But before that, he was playing left wing. Yeah. What do you think his best position is? Because I think he's made quite a big of an impact in behind the forward.
That's the thing. He's not really played enough, I think, behind him.
Yeah. But I do think he's dangerous when he's playing in behind because he sort of picks up the ball and drives, and from central areas he can hurt the opposition more. But then when he was playing left wing, you sort of he was that guy that was providing his assists. He had a good sort of link up with Oscar as well. But it's an interesting one because it's good having a player like that. 'Cause it shows that he can sort of play a variety of positions, and we've got quite a few of them in our squad to fair, like Slater, Longman. They all can sort of play everywhere, so it's good for it's good for depth. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, it always helps to have these adaptable players because that's the way the modern game is played. But we've not really seen Tete play up front, and hopefully we don't, considering how good Oscar is. Hopefully he just keeps playing. So yeah, I guess behind the striker, where of course Pelkas is injured, Tufan's a bit inconsistent, and maybe Connolly could play there, but there aren't wingers. We don't have a lot of them who aren't always getting injured as well. So you'd imagine Connolly could play there or just up front. So I guess Tete number 10 could work, but I don't know whether that uses his aerial ability, in the best way. And of course, perhaps he would have done something amazing and helped us score from that position against Sheffield United, but of course he got sent off. So, but I guess not up front is perhaps his best position because that's where he's being played. So, any other things we want to mention about the Sheffield United performance? I just think we did control the game quite well in spells, and one good thing I've seen, because Ingram's come under a lot of criticism recently for his ability to play out from the back, but not that he was doing a whole lot of it, but there are several times where he was really far outside of his box on the ball. I just think that's a sign that he's getting more comfortable playing this position, that he's comfortable to go that far off his line. So did anyone notice that and think that was a positive?
Yeah.
I think Ingram's been. I know he's had a couple of errors, but I think in general Ingram's been fine regardless. Because, see, I'm getting annoyed with this. Playing from the back is shit. Stop doing it. And the moment there's an issue or an error, it's instantly the worst thing in the world. Knowing that the other week Man City did exactly the same thing we've done a couple of times against Blackpool and Cardiff.
Yeah, and they're the best team in the world at doing it potentially.
Yeah, and it's like you're gonna have to. You do. Every team does it. It's not like it's some impenetrable tactic. No tactic is perfect.
Otherwise, everyone would do it.
Sheffield United's goal, game from us, hoofing the ball away.
Yeah, and then you lose the knockdown and they go up the end of it and score. So, and I think the way we've been controlling parts of games, 68% possession against Huddersfield, playing up from the backs, allowing us to do that, and it's giving us more of a chance to be, a sort of solid team if we've got the ball.
Sick of hearing people just shout, "Get it forward."
Absolutely.
No, they're not going to get it forward. They don't want to score.
Yeah, the people in the comments are agreeing with that 100%. And so one thing Rossini has said about the QPR game, or was it Tan Kessler actually said that the team's sort of being exactly take more risks. He likes what Rossini is doing, but we need to take more risks. So how would we do that against QPR? What is it that is more risky than playing out from the back? It's a difficult one, isn't it? Yeah, I don't know. Play two defenders?
What, play like a 1930s formation where it's like 2-4-5?
I guess it's just push the wing backs so far up that they become right wingers and left wingers, I guess that's the only way. But yeah, take a few more risks, be on the front foot at home. That's what we need to do against QPR, isn't it? So how do we see this game going?
QPR are a good possession side. So I think if quite equal in that regard. They're not afraid to keep the ball, play out from the back as well, because that's their sort of philosophy. They've got players like Elias. Is that Elias Share fit? I think they've got players like Elias Share that can hurt us in the final third. But it's one of them where, like, if you start QPR out in the best of form, I looked earlier. I think they're winless in 6, but they've drawn 4 of them. So
similar to us, really.
So literally, we've drawn our last 4 at home. They've drawn 4 of the last 5 games. So I think.
I wonder what's going to happen there.
Yeah.
I think it might be a draw.
Well, to be honest, I don't want to sound boring, but I was going to predict a draw.
Yeah, 1-1 as well. That. We don't do 0-0 or 3-3. So it's 1-1, isn't it?
I'll take a 4-all.
I'd take a 4-0 to us, to be honest. But
I'd take a 1-0 to Nathaniel.
Yeah. Same. You really want us to break that home duck because, Rossini has been the manager, even though he's only had 10 games, he's been the manager for 3 months now. And he said he's, going to sleep thinking about the home form. And, we've not won at home in those 3 months.
He's going to question him about it after every game.
If you look at it as well, 2 of them games we've played against 10 men as well. So you think you're sort of pulling him out and thinking, we're not.
I do think the 3-month thing.
At least a win, but.
The 3-month thing's ridiculous as well because a month of that, there was no competitive football.
Yeah, exactly. So fewer opportunities to get that win. But yeah, they're 13th, 4 points above us, but not really in great form, as you said. They've winless in 6.
Yeah, but they've drawn like 4 or 5 of them. So
since the snake Michael Beale left them, the form's gone a bit off.
I suppose it shows that he's a good manager. I don't know how well he's doing at Rangers in Scotland.
Not a clue.
Probably won a lot because and lost to Celtic. That's the only thing Rangers really do, isn't
it?
Yeah. So is this a must win? I don't really think so. I'm just playing devil's advocate, really.
We've said this for weeks now. It's a must win. It's a must win. But with our position in the table, look, realistically, I'm going to put out there, I don't think we're going to get playoffs at the end of the season.
Sacrilege.
I think anyone who says that is being silly.
I think there's too many teams that you look at the Middlesbrough, West Brom, they're coming into it now. Norwich have just got a new manager. They've won twice, scoring 4 goals in each game. There's too many teams there fighting for it. I think a top half finish would be realistic. So I think if you look at a team like QPR, they're on bad form. Yeah, it's a time we could be capitalising on that. But if we was to draw the game, I wouldn't be losing sleep over it, let's say that. But then you look at the game like against Cardiff, perhaps it's not a must-win, but do we want to? Yeah, of course we do. But hopefully we do win. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, unless you're really going for promotion or you're almost getting relegated, no game is a must-win because you can just plod along.
That's it. That's exactly it. It's a must-win from a mentality point of view, but not from a results point of view.
Yeah, it's must not lose, really, I guess. Although, if we lost to QPR, would it really make a big difference?
That's what we're going to do. Nottingham Forest. They was in a similar position we was at this point last season, and they're finished. Got promoted.
The idea of us getting playoffs to me is insane. This is a long-term thing, and I think already they're looking at next season as a possible moving for that, anything close to that.
Yeah, I mean that's what they said in the summer, that they didn't necessarily expect us to get up this season, and I think most of our players will probably stay, and a lot of them who leave haven't really played them out. I think that the only real major one, of course, this is too early to be thinking about this because it's still the January transfer window, but the only one I'd be worried about leaving is Oscar, because
what about Seri? I think Seri would stay.
I think Seri might stay because he's not a goal scorer. He's 30. He's getting paid a lot. I don't necessarily think he'll want to leave.
I say that it depends on what his wife says.
That's true. Though, of course, clearly
his wife might fancy a trip to Italy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe he promised him a trip to Italy next summer instead.
Maybe, but they can have a trip and come back. When the season starts.
You're coming back to Wool, though, aren't you?
Yeah, it's a lovely place. City of Culture. It's got the deep. You can go there every week. It's fine. Never gets old. When you fish there every week.
It's the most beautiful place in the country.
Exactly. So, really, this isn't a must-win. I think these are the sort of games you'd need to be winning if you do want to show that you've got playoff potential. And the run of 3 games that I've been looking at, it's QPR and then Cardiff and then Stoke, who are all below us, I believe, other than QPR, who are in worse form than us. It's a bit like under Adkins a few years ago when we had a really great week where we played Ipswich, Wigan and Reading, and they were all rubbish, and we won those 3 games and it gave us that playoff push. I think if we get the first goal against QPR, we could go on and maybe even win all 3, because I know away form's good, so we could win at Stoke, and Cardiff are in very bad form.
I don't think if we look at the next 5, I do think if we look at the next 5, like these next 3 are crucial in terms of our position in the table, because look, we're far from safe yet. I think we're 8 points above, so I think these next 3 games are the opportunity to sort of drag ourselves well clear of the bottom 3, because after we play these next 3, we've got Preston and Norwich, so I think them 2 games away from home are tough.
I think Preston's at home.
Preston's at home, but they've got the second. I think they've got the second best away record in the league. I was looking, so I think that's not going to be an easy game. And then obviously Norwich as well. They've got that new manager bounce, so I think going away to Norwich, it's what like the Sheffield United. It's a tough game. We've not won there since I think was it when like 2011, something like that. It's ridiculous. But
well, I don't think we've won there since I've been following City. And that's however long it is now, 11 years or something. So never won at Norwich, but it's not like that's a big derby.
I think we won like 1-0 at 2011 or something.
I was going to say I saw us win 2. It was 2-0.
Yeah.
2011.
It was our first win in like a year and a half.
Oh, it was. We're first win since like 2009.
We'd not won at all the season before in the Premier League away from home.
Yeah. I remember us almost winning at Norwich, and it was a similar situation. And then we won at Barnsley away.
Barnby that scored. Barnby, I
think so.
That Norwich game, I know Tom Kearney scored, and I can't remember who scored the other one. When that 2-0
maybe Barnby.
Alex says Kearney scored, but that's not.
Kearney free kick.
That's not what we're asking, Alex. Who else scored?
No, that's what I was on about. He's right. They'll leave him alone.
Oh, fair enough. But who else scored? Was it?
I can't
remember. 2 goals from Kearney. Does it really matter? No. I think we need to get back on track here and look at the future. So, how many points are we going to get from QPR, Cardiff, and Stoke? I'll go to you first, Will.
9.
9. I like it. Tom, better be 9.
I replied to that tweet saying 7. 2 wins, a draw, 2 losses. I think that'd be. I think I'd be happy with 5 at the very least, just to start. Stay unbeaten and keep moving up the table and becoming a strong team. But as I said, if we beat QPR, who I think sometimes it's almost easier to beat an out-of-form team who's just diddling around mid-table than a team at the bottom that really needs the points. Agree, So I think QPR could be potentially somewhat easier than Cardiff, maybe. Although I think we might be including Cardiff potentially in a little debate we're going to have at the very end, which Will has suggested.
So I might go. I might go 7. No, I'm confident. I think we might get 7, 5 or 7.
7, yeah.
I don't think we'll win all 3.
It there, Nathaniel.
Pretty much, yeah. Well, rather than going on to the transfer news, I've mentioned it there. Will, you want to complain about Jamie Carragher, do you?
I thought you were going to leave it till the end, but okay.
Do it now.
What I'm saying is the worst run club in football was.
In England?
Because it's not fucking Everton.
Yeah, he said Everton worst run in the Premier League and in England, but that's nonsense.
Until a couple of days ago, it was Scunthorpe United, but the family's actually been taken over.
Can't believe they won last night.
I know.
Yeah, they actually won again.
Over a year away from home. That's probably because it got taken over.
Yeah, it's that new owner bounce that we had last season, isn't it? Ant says we're going up as champions.
2-0 and that happened.
I don't know about that. So who are the worst run club in England? If it's not Scunthorpe and if it's not Everton, I was having a think about it. I mean, I think Cardiff are having a bad time of it at the moment, aren't they?
I mean, Vincent Tan isn't that great, is he? Let's be honest here.
Yeah, maybe it's Cardiff, and maybe we can heap some more misery on them in a few weeks' time. That'd be lovely.
Derby still? Derby are still.
All Man United fans. All Man United fans would say Glazers. But, you know.
Of course, they were the wankers.
Yeah, well said. Very, very good. Very good. So, shall we move on to the transfer gossip? Oh, actually, no. Before we do that,
okay.
We've got a new feature. We've got that isn't new, but it's new because I couldn't be bothered to do a preview with a QPR fan. So this is the joint lineup that I made between Hull and QPR, and it's sorry, Tom, no one can see you. The graphics covering.
All your listeners are loving this one as well.
Hello.
Exactly. Oh well, I should read it out. So Dieng in goal for QPR, because I think Ingram's good, but I think I've always liked the look of Dieng when he's played. And then we've got 3 QPR defenders: Parle at left back, Dunn and Dickey, and then Christie at right back.
Isn't that Curry?
Well, I don't know. I think he's Dutch. But he's got a goal and 4 assists, so he can go in there. And the reason why
he's not got much competition, has he? Really?
Yeah, but Greaves isn't on this. Neither is Longman, because the way I'm doing it is, if I could pick a lineup of the 11 players that could actually play on the game day, this is what it would be. So no suspended players, no injured players, and Greaves has picked up a pelvic bone injury, as Vassini said. So he won't be playing. Then we've got Seri. Slater, unsure about that, and then Johansson for QPR is a very good midfielder. Well, we'll get onto it, and then Chris Willock, Elias Share on the wings, and of course Oscar up front. So, Will, is this awful?
Yeah, because I don't give a shit if they're injured or not. Why is Jacob Greaves not there?
But you can't do that if they're injured, because they won't play.
No, but if it's a combined 11, then Greaves is there. But
in my opinion, here, where's Ingram? Where's Greaves? Where's McLaughlin? Where's Jones? Where's Tufan? Where's Longman?
I think our defence has been pretty bad, and I know Dunn and Dickey are both very good defenders. Greaves is injured, and no Longman because he's got a back injury. So, and Ingram, as I said, I can't just put it 11 Hull players every time because it won't be interesting.
You can.
No, because this is dumb, especially considering, as I said, QPR are actually above us in the table. So it'd be a bit weird, even as a Hull fan. So, Tom, we'll get you back on and get your face back on. So, what do you think of that? Is it rubbish?
I don't think Estepingan should be there, to be honest.
You weirdo. Weirdo.
I love sabotaging these new segments.
Fangled developments, yeah. Alex says Witto has had a shocker. Maybe. But I think that's the point. I was listening to the Tifo.
Having a shocker is the point?
Yeah. Who was it? It was one of the Athletics podcasts, and they were saying that the combined 11s are dumb. And they are dumb, but that's why we're doing them.
Work well together.
We've killed 5 minutes here. That's all we've got to do. So,
fuck the fans.
Yeah, just maybe maybe when we play Cardiff. I don't think there are going to be many Cardiff players on that combined 11. Oh, also, for audio listeners, I think it's really good. I put an orange and a blue bit on the kit, on the players, on the graphic. I think that's
so
cool.
Like Shrewsbury Town.
Well, they look like Shrewsbury, and same with when I did it for the Huddersfield team. They look like Shrewsbury or Eintracht Braunschweig from Germany. But then let's move on to the January transfer news, as there is a little bit. Carl Darlow is basically a Hull City player, but because Newcastle are in the League Cup semi-final still, Darlow has to be on the bench. And we were trying to find out who actually played for Newcastle. It was Dubravka in goal. So Darlow, 32, English goalkeeper, has played in the Premier League before for Newcastle, before they signed Dubravka a few years ago. So are we excited about this one? Because I think it could be a good addition, especially as Baxter is injured. Solid signing, isn't it? Yeah. What about you, Tom?
Yeah, I agree. I think when you're bringing someone that experience, I think that's what we've missed all season. Someone to sort of marshal that back line. I think he'll play a part as well. I think maybe him and Ingram will share sort of responsibilities. I think more so he's coming in there, sort of galvanise the dressing room, I think, as well. Sort of defensively. You know, he's had a lot of Premier League experience. I think it's a solid signing. I can't really.
He's also winning mentality at Championship level.
Yeah, because he won the league with Newcastle, didn't he? Was he their goalkeeper that season?
I don't know who was the first choice, but he was definitely part of the team.
Yeah. Definitely. So he'll have a medal. And we do have a lot of players that seem to have been in the playoffs or got promoted out of the Championship before.
Speaking of, the next one you're about to say.
Yes, the next one I'm about to say, we've been linked to this, what's it called? Thierry Ambrose, was it? From Belgium, who's a striker. That won't be happening. It's complete nonsense. No, of course.
Ostende.
Yes. That's complete drivel. It's paper.
Will looks confused, I think. I don't think.
I've done that intentionally. We have been linked to Nottingham Forest left back Harry Toffolo, who's 27, signed for Nottingham Forest in the summer from Huddersfield.
Quite a big money deal as well, I think.
Yeah, it was because they signed that midfielder as well, didn't they?
I think it was 10 mil each. 10 mil each. That's a lot of money for a fullback. But I think for the season he had six goals, 8 assists he got last season. Yeah. So
let's be honest, the Forest have signed about 6 left backs since they signed him.
Renan Lodi. That Richards from Bayern Munich or something.
Yeah, Richards.
Yeah. Ridiculous.
So I think that would be a very good signing if we got that. It would be a loan deal. And same with Darlow. It has been mentioned that we could get Darlow and Toffolo for permanent deals in the summer if they happen and if they play well. So, yeah, Toffolo.
Great move.
Similar with Christie. I think Christie's been a very good player for us. And having 2 good attacking fullbacks, that would be really good. So Toffolo potentially on loan.
Recently, I don't think we scored that many goals from the left. Like recently, like sort of. I think a lot of our good attacking play comes from the right. So I think it would be good. It's good having that balance on the other side. A good attacking left back. I think when you've got two fullbacks like that, I like to get forward. I think that's when we can start pinning teams back a bit more. So I think with Greaves, he's good on the ball. But he's not nimble enough to be a left back. I don't think. I think he has played well, but I think he'd like to move back to centre back.
I've loved Greaves at left back, but I'd rather him be playing in the middle. As much as I've loved him at left back,
he's been very good at left back.
I would rather him be in the middle with Jones. And
I saw someone say about what's the point in signing Toffolo to bring back Fleming, but I just because Toffolo is miles better than Fleming. Let's be honest. I think Fleming needs a full season.
He does. That's the thing with Fleming. That's why he's gone out. Is to get
he needs a full season in League One. And obviously Toffolo's had that experience with Huddersfield, nearly getting promoted, and then obviously joining Forest.
Can I be mean to Alex for a bit? Yeah. He said that.
I agree with him.
He says that my all-time Premier League 11, as in mine, not Alex's, wouldn't include Giggs or Shearer or anyone like that because they've retired and they wouldn't be available to play. If it was a combined 11 of Man United and Newcastle, it wouldn't have Giggs or Shearer because they've retired. But if it's the all-time Premier League 11, that includes all-time.
It's real you in there.
Fucking up to you, line and sinker.
No, I'm not having it. Nonsense. I think it makes sense if
For
it
the
was the
record,
team
Ryan
that
Giggs
could
wouldn't be
play.
in the best 11 because
Because
he's
otherwise you could have, we could have signed Ronaldo, but if Ronaldo had been injured for 6 months or something, he's not really. He wouldn't be in the combined 11. It's got to be the players you've got available. Otherwise, you could have players out on loan.
Let it go.
Would it include Cynic as well? Nonsense. But
let it go, Nathaniel.
I will. So I think the only other news is Pelkas and Traore are very close to coming back from injury, which is very good. Perhaps the next 2 weeks.
I did notice the photo that Hull City's Twitter put out today, which will update this place, with him and with Adama and Oscar.
Yeah,
all smiles.
All smiles,
and
see,
you don't put that picture out if you don't think he's coming back soon.
The thing is, with Traore, where do you think he fits into the team? Because, like I said before, that I think when we signed him in the summer, he was meant to be midfielder Seri Traore too, and I think that was the whole point. So I think, if I'm being honest, I've not watched a lot of Traore. I don't really know what type of midfielder is he. I think he's quite athletic. I think is he good at carrying the ball? I think
on FIFA he's a cam. He's an attacking midfielder, but he's also one of those that can play allegedly right wing or defensive midfield.
Don't be that guy that based off FIFA.
Well, I know, but it's the only thing I got to go off because he doesn't really play a huge amount of games in his career anyway.
He's not going to take his Seri's place in the team, is he?
True.
And he's not going to probably take Slater's place in the team.
Well,
so
I think you could take Slater's, to be honest.
I think it'd be that. I don't know. I need to see how he plays. I'd need to see how he plays football.
It's still a little while, probably 2 or 3 weeks before we see him play. Yeah. But apparently he's been in some of the training games and he'll have some under 21 appearances before he plays for us. But I mean, maybe if the idea was Tufan Seri Traore, do that, because maybe he's the sort of player that can combine with Tufan to get the best out of him, because we've not seen the best of Tufan very often. So perhaps, Slater, maybe, it would be cruel on him, but maybe even next year, maybe that is the midfield that we'd finally get to see. And that was how it was supposed to be. Although with the summer transfer business, I don't really know whether a lot of real thought was put into it. So maybe that idea's dribbled as well.
To be honest, the player I'm most looking forward to coming back is Malcolm. I want to see him playing for us.
Malcolm Ebiowei.
Malcolm.
It's
everywhere. It is everywhere. But I'm going to call him Malcolm like I call Oscar.
Yeah. I'm usually good at pronunciations, but I am struggling with that one. So I can say Estepinian, that's fine. But Malcolm,
We're also talking about Estepinian, isn't it? That's the thing.
Yes, absolutely. I think seeing him come into the team would be good, because I think wingers, we have sort of struggled in that attacking midfield place.
Where we struggled this season, sort of link up play between midfield and attack. Quite often we keep a lot of the ball. We're great at keeping possession, but it's about that transition further forward. And if you bring the likes of Toffler, Ebby away, you sort of now you've got some more quality in the final third, hopefully. And that's what we'll be sort of dying out to see, really. And that could be the difference between us taking a point from a game or 3. So I think it's quite promising.
We're approaching the point where we were at the summer, where of course Aliar, Pelkas, Traore are all going to be back. We've signed Connolly and Malcolm. We've got already a lot of players. Where are they all going to fit in? And we're going to have all these exciting attacking players, and we're probably going to still have a lot of games where we struggle to score, especially at home.
Well, competition is a good thing.
Competition is a good thing.
Hopefully they all push each other.
Yeah, just not too hard.
Because
then they'll get injured. Yeah, he comes from Palace, and Derby fans and Palace fans all rave about him. I mean, really, everyone raves about him, especially the Twitter threads of skill goals and stuff he's done.
I think obviously the competition he's got there at Crystal Palace, though, of Elise Zaha.
It's too early for him at the moment.
Is it as well? Yeah, but I think he's the sort of profile of player that Palace look for now. That's why I signed from Derby, because sort of the way sort of manipulates the ball. He's direct, quick, great on the counter attack. I think that's sometimes I think that we do sort of have the sort of players to play on the counter attack. We don't have to keep possession, but I think that with Eberway coming in, that's maybe an approach we could take, sort of like away from home. Sort of sit back a bit and soak up that bit of pressure, and then sort of hit him on the counter attack. I think that's that having a bit Eberway is that sort of like pacey player that we probably lack, to be fair, because I don't think Longman's particularly quick. Who else? Slater's not particularly quick either. Going forward, Dockety's no slouch, but again, we've not really got sort of like a blistering winger. That's the thing. So I think he's could be the missing piece of the puzzle essentially. So
yeah, absolutely. What do we predict the QPR game is going to finish as? I think that's the last thing we've got to cover on today's episode. I'm going to go a 2-1 win. 2-1 win. I think we're finally going to. Surely we're going to win at home at some point. So 2-1.
It's Will. You're going to stick with your prediction. You're going to stick with your prediction. Well, 1-1.
I didn't say 1-1. I didn't say 1-1.
You said a draw, didn't you? You said a draw.
Yeah, said a draw.
You said 4-4.
Said 4-4. But I'm gonna play it safe and I'm gonna half that and say Desmond.
Desmond 2-2. Right. That would be exciting, but only if we come from 2 goals down.
Ali, from a draw, I want goals.
Yeah, because there haven't really been a lot at home recently. What about you?
I'm going to stick with that. I say 1-0. I'm going to say same as was it Sheffield said 1-0 win. I'm going to stick with that 1-0 win.
Yeah, could be another tight game. A lot of them are at home, so we've gone 2-1. Will's gone 2-2, and Tom has said 1-0, and Anton and Shep said 1-0.
Perhaps in the future 1-0. We should sort of do a prediction league or something like that and see who gets the most right at the end of the season, something like that. Yeah,
we've probably all been very rubbish.
Maybe with fans as well. Get fans involved, get them predict every game. That'd be quite good.
That's a good idea, Tom.
Prize at the end of the season.
You can raise it at the next monthly back meeting.
Tom, mention that at the end of the season because we will forget.
Yeah. That's true.
I'll whack it. So.
We could just start one right now, to be honest.
Mid-season, it's awkward, isn't
it? Yeah, but we've just passed halfway. We can't even say.
How many games you got? About 20 odd games left.
18, isn't it? Aren't we on 28 games? So I think there's 18 games left. So it's not really a nice number to do. Maybe the last 10.
Cheers, Alex.
Always journo Tom. And then Nshep has said, are we going to do a predicted lineup? Nah, too late. Not feeling it. Well, there'll be 11 City players.
Same team, swap out Tete for...
Tete didn't start, so...
Tufan and Elder in for Greaves.
Longman's probably injured, so Connolly started, so... I don't know.
Please don't play Christie and Coyle on the right side ever again.
Yeah,
I never want to see that ever again. Anyway.
Exactly. I think there are going to be a few forced...
Unless we're in the 80th minute. Unless we're in the 80th minute winning 1 or 2-0, then you can bring on Coyle.
Exactly.
To be fair, Coyle's not put a foot wrong when he's played in recent weeks. I was going to
say against Huddersfield. It was against Huddersfield. He came on for Christie. Christie had a bad game. Christie came on for Christie and was fantastic because he kept putting balls in the box.
The thing is with Coyle, I don't want to drag it on too long, but I think Coyle's his final delivery is not too bad. To be fair to him, he's had a few assists this season. I think.
He puts a lovely cross in. It's like I saw someone say that. Of course, De Bruyne is probably the best passer of football or crosser in the world at the moment. And someone pointed out that, especially when Chelsea had Morata, when Azpilicueta sort of on the edge of the box on the wing, he's basically like De Bruyne, and Coyle in that position is very similar to Azpilicueta's crosses to Morata. So him and Oscar. That's a link-up as well. It's a very niche thing.
Chelsea is your comparison. He was shit for Chelsea.
Yeah, but whenever Azpilicueta crossed it to him, he'd score. There was a great Match of the Day compilation of like 5 exactly the same goals. Look up his header against Chelsea, against Man United for Chelsea. Beautiful goal. Great headed goal. One of the best crosses and headers you'll see. So look that up, and it was very like the Blackpool goal we scored. Yeah. Morata, he was rubbish, but he could bang a header in, let me tell you. So, completely pointless. But yeah, Coyle, you're right. I think Coyle does get a lot of stick, but drop him, defo.
No.
Have Christie back at right back. Well, you're saying no.
No, just because I want to be contrarian.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, I think that's all we've got time for. Thank you very much for everyone who's been listening, liking, and commenting. It's been a very good. What have I done?
If you've stayed in here for 56 minutes,
you've got not much to do, have you?
That's true. Absolutely. So, thanks everyone for watching. We'll be back next week, hopefully, as I say, every time we end a podcast, hopefully talking about a win against QPR. And thanks again, and we'll be back next week.